Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Remember, the name of the channel is Destined to Prosper. You are destined to prosper. So today I want to talk about a video I watched some time ago. It says 10 or 15 countries that black people should avoid. I don't know how these guys come up with this stuff, but I want to tell you this. The list, Russia made the number one list. Russia was on the number one. I guess they could simply say the number one country everybody should avoid is Russia. Bunch of bullshit. But anyway, now China was number 9 or number 8 or 10, can't remember, but China was like, somewhere under Russia. Sometimes I wonder, these people that make up these whatever they call it, if they have traveled to these countries or just sit down and make up some shit based on the information they found on the internet or the information they found in their own heads. China was mentioned, Japan was mentioned, Israel, which other country was on the top list? Japan, Korea, China, Russia was number one. Which other country? They also mentioned, let me see. Anyway, I tell you what. If you want to mention countries that black people should, if you want to talk about countries that black people should avoid, you start from countries where black people live. Black people should avoid black people. I don't see, the USA was not on the list. The US was not on the list of countries that black people should avoid. That's very funny. Because I've been here in China for quite a long time, a very long time. And the amount of people that I heard or saw in the news that were killed by the police in the United States, the amount of people that I saw in the news that were killed or hurt by other people, ordinary citizens, civilians in the US, the amount of people that I saw in the news that was killed or hurt in several African countries, either killed by civilians or by police or by whoever. In one African country alone, in the United States alone, the amount of people that got hurt or got killed, either deliberately or mistakenly or by accident, compared to the amount of people that have been hurt or killed in any of those countries, any other countries that were on the list of countries that black people should avoid. The margin is like this. So I don't know what these people try to get at when they make up all this list of so countries that these people should avoid, these black people should avoid, Chinese people should avoid, Japanese should avoid, American people should avoid. Check your facts. You check your facts first before you make this list. Are you saying the countries that black people should avoid as the food is not good, or as they will get hurt, or someone will say something bad to them, or someone will stare at them? What? You need to make it clear, because What is the most important thing? Life and safety. That is the most important thing. So if I want to avoid a particular country, I will avoid this country or that place. If I want to avoid any particular place or any particular country or any particular neighborhood or any particular region, the first thing I'm going to consider is my safety. So, according to the video, it mentioned a few things, a few reasons why these countries should be avoided. Let's say, for example, we mentioned China and Japan as homogeneous societies that people will stare at you, make you uncomfortable. Yeah, but are these reasons why people should avoid a particular country? If you place discomfort as in terms of not really discomfort, let me use the word discomfort for the lack of proper word right now. If you place a country or a region, a place, if you give me these two options, safety and people staring at me, there's a chance that I'm going to get shot over here and killed and nothing will happen. Or people stare at me all day. Which one should I choose? You make the decision yourself. So when these people come up with these, when they come up with these list of countries that are this and countries that are that, it doesn't make sense to me. Why should black people avoid these countries? Because people stare at them. On that list, countries that are supposed to make the list didn't make it. African countries in Africa, on the African continent, supposed to make that list. Lots of them supposed to make that list, but they didn't. And you telling black people to avoid countries that are peaceful, well organized, and well equipped with basic amenities. You asking people to avoid these places because they'll be stared at, versus places where they could be shot at. It doesn't make sense to me. Yes, in countries like China, in certain places, in certain areas, in certain neighborhoods, some people have not seen a foreigner before. It doesn't even matter if it's black, white, green, yellow, color, whoever made up the color codes for human beings. People have not seen anybody that do not look like them before. So they tend to stare. They tend to be very curious. But then, of course, not everybody is very educated. And you find that everywhere in the world. So some people, their curiosity, based on their level of education, exposure, and upbringing, their curiosity would lead them to do some stupid things, some things that are not considered to be normal for anybody who is not a Chinese person or even from that neighborhood. In many major cities in China, there are lots of foreigners. In many major cities, there are lots of foreigners, and many people in rural areas, especially if they are younger people, they have had the opportunity to come out in bigger cities and see foreigners. And of course, the more you get accustomed to anything, the less chances of acting very strange or stupid around that. So in many of the countries that was mentioned in the video, for example, Japan was mentioned and China was mentioned. Many people in rural areas of these countries have not seen a black man before. And if they see anybody that doesn't look like them, they tend to be curious. But in my personal experience and the experiences of people that I know, most of them, their curiosity is always positive. If you are new in China, if you're passing through as a tourist, or you live in China for many years but you're only hanging around foreigners and do not mingle with local people, some of the things that some of the locals would do may irritate you, but majority of them do this out of curiosity and based on their level of education and exposure. They may do things sometimes that you may be offended by if you're not accustomed or if you do not know. But if you do know, if you have been around for a while and you have been mingling, you have been hanging out with a lot of local people, you get to understand. And sometimes instead of getting upset about what they do, you smile about it. It's kind of funny. As I asked before, would you prefer to go to a country where you could get shot or you could get killed? Or you prefer to go to a country where people stare at you or are very curious about you? You should know what the answer is. Because I don't think anybody in their right mind, in the right circumstances, will want to get shot or want to get hurt. I would always choose you stare at me all day rather than getting shot. So, for those people who make those lists of countries certain people shouldn't visit, black people shouldn't visit, white people shouldn't visit, green people shouldn't visit, yellow people shouldn't visit, I want you to get your priorities straight. Like, your priorities are all tangled up, like mixed up, like a bit crazy. Because the first list, if you want to talk about countries that black people should not visit, you start with African countries, where some of the African countries are very dangerous for the black people who visit there. Then you move to the United States. Then you go to UK, the stabbings in London. If you're basing this on safety, right? If you're basing it on like joke or say countries where people don't have a lot of black people, I can understand. If you say countries where people don't have a lot of black people, I understand. That would make more sense. Countries where there aren't a lot of black people, I understand. If you say countries where they have a lot of black people, the African continent, it's that countries in the African continent. Countries where they don't have a lot of black people, start in Asia. So I want everybody that listens to those kind of things or watch those kind of videos about countries where black people will be doing this, black people, countries where black people, places where black people do this, places where, don't listen to any of those crap. Don't listen to any of those crap. If you want to know about a particular country, you go visit there yourself. As long as you are a law-abiding visitor, a law-abiding whatever. First of all, before you visit any country, check out what their local laws, rules, and regulations are. And then, when you get there, you stick to the local laws, rules, and regulations. If possible, find a local friend who understands the language you speak. Make sure it's someone you can trust. Let that person guide you. If possible, in every country now should have agencies, right? Or at least through the embassy or consulate of that country that you want to visit. Through them, they can link you up. They can link you up with a person in that country that can guide you. If they link up, or of course, if you go into any country, you obtain your visa from their consulate or embassy or their foreign mission abroad in your country of residence. And if you don't need a visa, you still communicate with that country's consulate or their agent. Let them give you some guidelines first. Then, if you happen to have a person, a friend or relative or someone who already, a trustworthy person who is already living in that country, have the experience, much better. You communicate with that person and let that person be your guide. If you don't have such a person, communicate with the country's consulate or embassy or their agent in your country of residence. Let them link you up. They brief you on the guidelines, things, the do's and the don'ts, before you get on the plane to visit that country. And then when you get there, follow what the local person that is guiding you or your guide, the friend, the relative, the whoever who you communicated with before coming in, follow their guidelines. They will tell you, don't go in this neighborhood. These are the neighborhoods to go. Or certain times, from this time to this time, you can go here. From this time to this time, you cannot go here. They guide you. You follow all the rules, you follow all the regulations. You can't go wrong with that. Listening to a person who is, or even faceless. Yeah, that video was faceless. Faceless, nobody's face. Yeah, you had nobody's face. So listening to a faceless video channel who is telling you which countries to visit, which countries not to visit, which countries black people should avoid, which countries white people should go in, which countries green people should and should not go in, it's bullshit. If you are listening to a person who is talking about their experience, the person has been there, done that, or is still there. Listening to them talk about their own personal experience in a particular country or about a particular issue, that's understandable to a certain extent. I said to a certain extent because a lot of people, we travel to a place as tourists, and then they go to that place and then they have this one incident and they say, this country did this. For example, someone comes to China, let me tell you a story. One of my trips to Shanghai last year, on my way coming out of Shanghai, I got in through one airport and I flew out from another airport. Now, I can't remember which one I flew in or which one I flew out of. But I tell you like this. First of all, we ordered Didi. Didi is like a Uber to pick us up from the hotel to the airport. It was with a good friend of mine. Our taxi driver looked like he looks like one of those like drug lords, killers in South America. I don't want to mention any country in South America, but looks like one of those like really bad killer who has been in jail for like 20, 25 years. He didn't look Chinese. Definitely looked like someone from South America somewhere, Looked really bad. Got in the car. This man, I think he could understand English. I was talking to my friend. We sat in the back of the car. And then driving to the airport. Somehow, we were talking about the strangeness of the guy and his demeanor, his whole thing, it's kind of, for me, if he wasn't in China and as safe as China was, if he was in another country that I'm allowed to carry a piece, I would have had my hand on my piece at all times, waiting for him to make a move so I can blast him, The guys, honestly, I have been around. Tell you, the guy really looked like something else. So in this whole thing, we were supposed to go to Terminal 2. We mistakenly told him Terminal 1. And this airport, Terminal 2, is a bit far from Terminal 1, So when he dropped us off and then he left, and then we got into the building and tried to go to check-in at the machine. Use the machine to check in. We couldn't check in tried several times, couldn't check in. Then before we could go to the counter over here and over there and try to find out what's going on, why we can't check in, we found out we were in the wrong terminal, and then boom, it was like already late for the flight. So we had to take the subway. You go up, go down, go up, go down, go this way, that way, down into the subway, and then go to the other terminal. Now, honestly, I can't remember. Was it Terminal 1 or Terminal 2? The one we were supposed to fly from one terminal, but then we were dropped off in the wrong terminal. And then I had to take a subway, which is very, like a long way to get to the subway, and then got on the subway, then got off in the other terminal. Had to go through security. Going through security, my friend was in another line, and I was in another line. Very far, lots of people. And I think we flew out of Pudong Airport. I can't remember. But anyway, so while we were on the line, going through security at the airport, when it was almost my turn, let's say 7 people in front of me, I realized that the person who was like using the scanner to scan the body was a young lady, probably in between 28 to 35. Can't be sure of her age. But a young lady, a slim young lady. So going through when I realized this was a young lady, I actually noticed her because of her excitement, the way she was acting, and then kept looking in the light at me and was like, do you know, how do I explain it? She was too excited, like, I noticed her because of the way she was moving, and even though she was scanning other people, but she was looking at me, and I'm thinking, okay. In other airports, they would always have 2 people standing there, man and woman. Woman scanning women, man scanning men. And I'm thinking, this young lady, 2 young ladies actually. There were 2 young ladies, one of them little fat, little looking shy, but I noticed that one because of the way she kept looking at me, and then even those scanning other people like really so fast, and then but her eyes were over here at me. So I was thinking, I'm already here, like 6, 7 people in front of me. What is going on with this girl? I'm thinking, do I know her before? Is it someone I know? No, can't remember this face. And I try to avoid her by waiting to see, because I can't jump in the other line, to get to the other girl. But I'm already feeling not very comfortable with this girl. The way she kept, like, I would say, let me use the word, for lack of the proper word to use right now, say head on. She had a head on for me. I have seen some people, men and women, but mostly women, mostly older aunties who are not really old, but during the COVID-19, I witnessed a particular place that I go all the time. There's this auntie that walked there at the door. During that time, she used that power to always, being at the door there. Yeah, that auntie, it's like she traumatized me. Every time I think about going there, I remember that as soon as she see me at the door, she would get up, and then she would get so nervous, energetic, like this. That's how that young lady was acting. And so when he got to like one person in front of me, and then I asked the person on the left side, who is going to the other girl. I asked, this other girl looked more calm, quiet, like really feminine, like. I asked the person, please, you don't mind if I go here, you come to my line? Oh yeah, no problem. come over here, and I went over there. Do you know that as soon as it's my turn, boom, that girl told the other girl, come here, so she can scan me. So they switched. This girl, she got to my last nerves. She really did. This girl scanned, touching me everywhere. Got to, usually whether men or women, when they're using the scanner, but I usually witness a lot of men here in Guangdong province scanning men at the airports or security checkpoints, men scanning men, women scanning women. But usually, honestly speaking, no matter who it is scanning, they usually, like when they come to the private area, the pubic area, they will just like quickly brush through that and just go through it and go, because Chinese people are very traditional. The word I'm trying to find is, I always forget this word. Always. Okay, if I remember the word, I'll tell you. But let's use the word traditional for now. You know what I mean. So, as much as possible to avoid, anything sexual in public or anything that would seem like sexual or, anything closely related to that in public. Conservative is the word. So most Chinese people, not all, now listen to this. So, but especially here in southern China, when I say most Chinese people, it's not all. Remember, in every society, there's always exceptions. So, but most Chinese people, no matter how crazy they are about sexuality, but when it's in public, they're gonna try to, steer clear of it and stuff like that, which is very, very conservative, which keeps the society sane. Now, this was my first time in all these years in China to be touched in public in the way this girl was touching me. Like she was using the scanner like this, but everywhere she scanned, she touched like this. I just couldn't believe it when this girl like touched my private area, like touched. I was like, is this really happening? There were three colleagues, 2 were at the machine, at the scanner, big scanner over there where you put your bags through. And then there was one standing next to them. And then they have these 2 girls here. So I looked down at her and then I looked up. I looked at everyone. I looked at people behind me. I'm like, is this really happening? And then she kept doing that, up, down, up, down. And then she came the second time, passed her hand around my private area again, and then touched my butt 3 times. And then the third time she was trying to do that again. I mean, I was like, stop! I screamed. I mean, like, that screaming could have been heard 500 meters away. I said, stop! What is wrong with you? What are you doing? This bitch was not shocked. She just got up with a stupid smile on her face, and because everybody now, the passengers behind me, the ones who already passed, her co-workers, everybody around just stopped to watch. And then she looked around, looked at her colleagues like, what's wrong with him? I immediately said, stop, don't touch me again, don't touch me. What is wrong with you? I said, hey, I called out to the guys over there. I said, right now, a man here. And then she stood there like she don't want to move, she was telling them now, I don't know what's wrong with him. I'm just searching him. Everybody there, the passengers behind me, the ones on the other side, everybody knew that girl was violating me. Everybody knew. But you know, in China, most people would just mind their own damn business. You know? And this girl, like, want to raise her scanner again to touch. I said, don't touch me. Get out. Move. I say, hey, guys, a man here. Because she didn't know I could speak Chinese. And this is one of the reasons why sometimes I go to a place, I just don't talk or act like I don't understand what they're saying to see what's going on. She's telling them, he don't want me to search him. Then I told her in Chinese, shut up, Bijou. I said, go. I told her, you are a woman. You should be ashamed of yourself in public with all the cameras here, and you're doing this. You should be ashamed of yourself. And then the guys, two guys, one at the machine and the one that was standing up, they walked towards me when they heard me speaking Chinese because they might want to believe her. And that bitch was like a bully. There are women like that here in China. When I first came to China to live, I experienced one of them who was like a bully. She would bully a woman. There was a story that she liked to sleep with foreigners. So if she see a foreigner she likes, she find out who his wife is. If he has a wife or girlfriend, she will size him up and then bully her. She will size her up, She will size her up, like get to know her capabilities, because she's a very strong woman she's been in jail before something, according to the story. So she's not afraid of certain things and certain people. So if she see a man she likes, she will bully. If the man has a girlfriend or wife, she will bully her and then take him over. They have bitches like that. And they are also Chinese people. So all Chinese people are not the same. Going back to the story, the girl, when she realized now I could speak Chinese, and then she stepped aside, like moved back an inch. And when she saw the guys approaching, because I started telling those guys in Chinese, come here. And then those two guys approached. Then I told her, hand over the scanner to him. Give him the scanner. And then she reluctantly gave him the scanner. I put my hands up and tell the guy, scan me. And then the guy did the normal scanning. How they usually do it everywhere. He scanned, like that pattern, like really quick scan. Just make sure you don't have anything hiding anywhere. The pants that I had on didn't need a belt. It had a rope to tie the pants. Didn't need a belt. So there was no belt buckle. There was nothing to beep here. And there was nothing beeping here for that stupid bitch to grab me in my crotch 3 times, So the guy scanned there like normal. Didn't even put his hand there. This little bitch touched me 3 times. The 3rd time is when I stopped her and screamed at her. So the guy scanned front, scanned back. This little bitch still stood next to him after the guy finished and told me, okay, go. She's still telling him to search me more. Because now she is very embarrassed. She have to justify what she was doing by letting him do more or even worse than what she did. But no, the guy did his job the way he's supposed to do. And then told me to go ahead. I'm looking at this little bitch. She's not very little compared to, she definitely not from Southern China. Northern China. Because I can hear the difference. When they talk, I can hear the difference, the different accents I can hear. And we were over there. So she's definitely not from Southern China, because even though they have some really crazy women in southern China, but any woman that was trained and put in that position to work at an airport to scan people would never, never do that to a man. And especially not a foreign man. So that bitch have done a lot of shit with foreign men or whatever her deal is. So the point I'm trying to make in this story is this. This happened to me and it got my mind messed up. I couldn't calm down until I was like almost an hour into the flight. Like I was on that aircraft, like still thinking, that bitch, this stupid bitch, this, I had so many mixed feelings about this because first I was thinking, why would she violate me like this? I noticed her because I see ahead. I noticed this girl way before this happened, and I tried my very best to avoid her because 6 or 7 people in front of me, I already saw her. I already saw how she's nervous, looking at me, scanning other people, looking at me. And you couldn't say this is anything to do with actually doing her work as a security person, because this route that we are flying, Shanghai to Guangzhou, there's really nothing to do. It's an international flight. I would say maybe she's being too careful for whatever reason. I have flown around China. I have been flying around the world since I've been living in China. I've been flying a lot. I've been traveling by train. In any of these scenarios, they have security people checking when you go through security. So to have this bitch do this, it's definitely the first time for me. So one of the things that upset me very much is that I was thinking, if this was my first time in China, or if this was my only time in China, let's say I was in China as a tourist and then this was my flight out, or maybe this is my coming in, I fly in here, then fly to Guangzhou, and then I fly out. This would be my impression of Chinese women. This would be my impression of Chinese airport security. This would be my impression of Chinese women. And the funny thing is that there was another security that we had to go through before coming to that last one to get on the plane. We had to go through a security checkpoint before getting into that area. And it was a girl there also. And the girl didn't do any of these. She didn't do any of these. That regular scan, like this, let your bags go through, then you go in. This little bitch, I will try to remember which airport and then which terminal was that. I will, maybe in another video I'll put it in. And I told my friend I was going to report that incident to airport authorities, and but I haven't got around to do it. That was last year. I haven't got around to do it because that kind of incident needs to be reported. You can't have nasty bitches working at the airport and touching men inappropriately. It gives a bad name to that airport, it gives a bad name to that city, it gives a bad name to the country if the person is a foreigner. So the reason why I told this long story is because if it was my first time in China, or if it was my first experience of meeting a Chinese lady, I would say that I would just get out and then start spreading the news, the story that Chinese women or Chinese security women at the airport, they like to grab your balls, they like to do this, they like to do that. That's what actually made me more mad. Maybe if it was my first time or my first experience, Like this, my first experience of China, maybe I wouldn't be that mad, but I was very mad, much more mad, because I think about the negative connotation and the negative stereotype this can give to Chinese people. If this was a foreigner who hasn't experienced anything in China, he would not say Shanghai people, he would say Chinese people. You know? So I hope that, I'm not sure what made this girl act crazy about me. If I looked like somebody who slept with her before or something, or somebody who she's been dreaming about, I don't know. But something, from the time she saw me in line, something in her mind flipped. Then she started acting very like a had on. I said before, like a had on, like, you know. And then she really had to touch me. But that girl, she's not a representation. I wouldn't even call her girl. That woman is not a representation of Chinese women. She's not even a representation of Shanghai women. I doubt if she was from Shanghai. She had to be from one of the other provinces. I don't think she's from Shanghai city. So she's not a representation of Chinese people. She's not a representation of Chinese women. She's not a representation of Shanghai people. She's not even a representation of the airport authorities or the airport security personnel. She's just a bitch. If she was really crazy about me on that line, maybe she would be nicer, say something nice. Who knows? Maybe there's a chance she can get my phone number. But grabbing me by the balls and touching me everywhere, in an airport where everybody was lined up, so many cameras everywhere. I'm sure if that girl is still working at that airport now, I'll be very disappointed with that airport authority. I think they would watch what happened because I screamed, "Stop!" I'll be surprised if they, after watching that camera, checking out what happened, and they didn't fire her immediately, same day. I'll be very surprised. So this is not a representation of the people. This is just a bullshit human being. Even if you are if you visit a country as a tourist, and then something happened there, do not put it on the whole country. At least have 3 or 4 experiences in different parts of that country. Then you can say, these country people do this. So for the people who believe in the videos, faceless, especially faceless videos of people who would be somewhere in a small town in Texas, just came to my mind. Let me just use Texas. What about use another state? Mississippi. I don't know why these states come to my mind. Somewhere, let's go to another country. Somewhere in Sydney, Australia, or in New Zealand, or somewhere in the United Kingdom. Then use a computer to make a story. Of course, people can make their videos. People can do something, make their videos, get all this, whatever benefit that is coming out of the video, fine. But you, as a person who is watching the video, watch it as an entertainment. But if you want to get the facts about certain things, like serious things like what I saw in that video, countries that black people should avoid, or countries that are not welcoming to black people, or countries that hate green people, countries that, if you want to watch any of these videos, especially if it's faceless, and even if the person have their face in the video, but they are not telling you that they are here, I'm here, I have lived here, or I have lived there, They're just talking out of their butts. Take it as an entertainment. Give them watch hours. Don't take them too seriously. Because to truly know anything about any country, you have to spend a lot of time in that country. Mingle with the people. Do your daily things. Live your daily life in that country among the people. Then you'll be qualified to advise other people about that country. So my friends, I gotta end this video here now, and please, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe and get more value. And if you have any questions or anything you want to know about China, please ask me. I'll be very happy to help. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Peace.